During the first month of university, I discovered that the entire school was calling me the Parasite. This nickname was given to me by Chin Sho, the new seatmate of my childhood friend, Shen Shiwi. It was because I was always following Shen Shiwi, eating the breakfast he brought, using his campus card, and living in a rented room near his house. I asked Shen Shiwi why he didn't stop him. He gave a casual smile and said, "It's just a nickname, isn't it? Chin Sho just likes to joke around. Don't take it to heart. Besides, you do cling to me every day. You are a bit like a parasite." I froze in place, my heart feeling as if someone had squeezed it ruthlessly. It turned out that my 18 years of companionship were nothing but parasitism in his eyes. I didn't explain further. I simply deleted all the photos of Shen Shiwi from my phone and applied for withdrawal from school. Suddenly, Shen Shiwi panicked. "Fang Yuan, where are you going?" "To a place where you will never find me." I first heard that nickname while waiting in line at the cafeteria. It was an ordinary Wednesday noon. As usual, I was holding my tray and standing in the crowded line. Two girls were whispering nearby, loud enough for me to hear. "Look, the parasite is here again, following Shen Shiwi every day without any shame." At first, I thought they were talking about someone else, until one of the girls turned her head, her gaze lingering on me for a few seconds before letting out a meaningful smile. I knew that kind of smile too well. It was the smile of someone watching a show, a gloating smile, a smile that said, "So you still don't know." My fingers involuntarily tightened around the edge of the tray until my palms hurt. The parasite, they were talking about me. I looked around and realized many people were watching me. Some were whispering, their fingers pointing vaguely in my direction. Some were snickering behind their hands with eyes full of mockery and contempt. Some didn't even bother to hide it, staring straight at me as if observing some strange creature. My face instantly burned, my ears felt hot, and even breathing became difficult. After hurriedly getting my food, I practically fled. I found a seat in the furthest corner, but before I could take 2 bites, the gossip from the next table drifted into my ears. "Fang Yuan is really disgusting, pestering Shen Shiwi every day." The voice wasn't quiet. The girl speaking didn't seem to care at all that I was right there. "I heard his family is very poor and he survives on handouts from the Shen family," another voice agreed. "No wonder Chin Sho calls him a parasite. It's a perfect description." I've never seen someone so thick-skinned. My hands were shaking. My chopsticks hit the table with a sharp clack. The girls looked over. Seeing it was me, they didn't stop. Instead, they laughed louder. "Oh, the parasite is angry. Why act like that? It's not like we're wrong." I gritted my teeth, trying to control my emotions, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't even hold the chopsticks steady. The food tasted like wax. Every bite was hard to swallow. Finally, I gave up, picked up my nearly untouched tray, and walked out of the cafeteria quickly. The laughter behind me surged like a tide, drowning me. I went to find Shen Shiwi immediately. He was playing volleyball on the court, sweating under the sun. Chin Sho was sitting in the stands wearing a sophisticated tracksuit, holding a bottle of water and cheering for him occasionally. Seeing me arrive, Chin Sho smiled brilliantly, the kind of smile a cat gives a mouse. "Fang Yuan is here. Come sit." He patted the spot next to him enthusiastically. I ignored him, my eyes locked on Shen Shiwi. He just made a beautiful spike, and his teammates high-fived in celebration. "Shen Shiwi, I have something to say to you." My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for her to hear. She turned, saw me, and frowned slightly. Wiping the sweat from her forehead, her tone was clearly impatient. "What is it? Can't it wait until I'm done?" "No, now." I had never used such a firm tone before. Even I was surprised. Shen Shiwi froze, likely not expecting the usually submissive me to speak to her like that. She stared at me for a few seconds, then finally greeted her teammates and walked over slowly. "What's wrong? Why so serious?" Her tone was light, as if she was completely unaware of the gravity of the situation. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice calm. "The whole school is calling me a parasite. Do you know?" She tucked her long hair back, her expression a bit awkward. "Oh, that? I've heard." "You've heard? And that's it?" I looked at her in disbelief, waiting for her next sentence, her explanation, her anger. But there was none. She just stood there, with an indifferent look. "You heard it, so why didn't you stop it?" My voice began to tremble. "Stop what?" She shrugged carelessly. "It's just a nickname, isn't it? Who doesn't have a nickname in college? The leader of our dorm is called Fatty, and she doesn't say anything." She even laughed, as if this were truly a trivial matter. "But this nickname is an insult to me," I practically shouted. "You're overthinking it." Shen Shiwi patted my shoulder, a dismissive gesture that made my heart go cold. "Chin Sho just likes to joke. He means no harm." "No harm?" I turned to look at Chin Sho nearby. He was watching us with a face full of smiles, his eyes unable to hide his triumph. "Shen Shiwi, do you really think calling me a parasite is just a joke?" My voice was very soft, as if asking myself. She said impatiently, all right, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Besides, you do follow me every day, you are a bit like—" She didn't finish, but I knew what she wanted to say. A bit like a parasite. At that moment, I felt something shatter. It broke so completely, it could never be mended. From that day on, I reduced the number of times I sought out Shen Shiwi. But the nickname had already spread through the campus like a virus. It gained a life of its own, grew wings, and flew into every corner. Going to class, people pointed behind my back. "That's him, the parasite. I don't know how Shen Shiwi puts up with him." At the library, someone would purposely say loudly, "Parasites can read too? Why pretend to be a good student when you just rely on a woman?" When buying things at the shop, the owner would look at me twice with eyes that seemed to be looking at something dirty. The most humiliating part was in the dorm. My roommates, with whom I had been on good terms, began to distance themselves. At first, they were polite, but stopped talking to me. Later, they got worse and didn't even bother with pleasantries. They stopped inviting me to eat. "We're going to the cafeteria," they would say, then walk away without looking back, leaving me alone in the empty room. They stopped sharing brotherly jokes with me. Even borrowing a charger became difficult. "I'm using it, it's dead." I lent it to someone else. The excuses were always ready. One night, I returned a bit later than usual. When I pushed the door open, I heard them whispering on the balcony. Is Feng Yuan really spending Shen Shiwi's money all the time? Probably. Otherwise, why would Chin Sho call him a parasite? He's so poor. Where does his tuition and living expenses come from? Shen Shiwi must be giving it to him. No wonder he can live near Shen Shiwi's house. So that's how it is. How shameless. If I were him, I'd be too embarrassed to show my face. I stood at the door, hand still on the knob. They noticed me, and the conversation stopped abruptly. They dispersed as if nothing happened, returning to their places. No one asked where I had been. No one cared how much I had heard. It was as if I were a ghost. I lay on the bed, tears silently flowing into the pillow. The pillowcase was soon wet and cold against my face. They didn't know that the reason I lived near Shen Shiwi was because that was an old house left to me by my grandmother. It was old and small, but it was my only shelter. When my grandmother passed away, she left me this house. Yuan, this house is old, but at least it's a nest. With a nest, you don't have to fear the wind and rain. They also didn't know that I never spent a penny of Shen Shiwi's money. Those so-called handouts were all recorded in my notebook. Every breakfast payment, every use of the campus card, every small amount she covered for me. I remembered them all clearly. The first thing I did when I earned money from my part-time job was to pay her back, but she would always refuse. "Why are we being so formal?" she would say. I thought that was care. Now I think maybe it was just disdain. But it was useless to say anything now. In everyone's eyes, I was that parasite living off a woman. The truth didn't matter. They only wanted to believe what they wanted to believe. I tried to explain. Once, during a public class, the teacher asked us to do group work. When it came time to form groups, a strange atmosphere filled the room. Everyone else gathered in twos and threes to discuss their teams. I was left in a vacuum, like a plague. No one wanted to be in a group with me. I looked around, trying to find even one friendly look, but there were none. Some pretended to look at their phones, some purposely looked out the window, and some just closed their eyes to pretend to sleep. I gathered my courage and approached a boy who looked easier to talk to. "Excuse me, can I join your group?" He looked up, his eyes flickering. "Sorry, our group is full." I counted. There were clearly only 3 people. My grades are very good. I was 3rd in the major last semester. I tried to prove my value. Then a boy nearby sneered, "What's the use of a parasite having good grades? It's all thanks to Shen Shiwi. Maybe Shen Shiwi even did his exam papers for him." "Yeah, otherwise how could he score so well?" Others chimed in, as if they had found a logical explanation. "I didn't rely on her." I got anxious, my voice rising. My tuition was earned from my own jobs, and my living expenses too. "Enough!" Another girl interrupted me with a roll of her eyes. "Who would believe you? Stop acting so noble. Everyone knows what kind of person you are." Then, Chin Sho's magnetic voice rang out. He had walked over at some point, his face wearing a perfect mask of sympathy. "Everyone, don't say that. Fang Yuan really hasn't had it easy." He paused, his lips curling into a meaningful arc. "After all, not everyone has the ability to let Shen Shiwi support them for so many years. That is a kind of skill in itself." The whole class roared with laughter. That laughter felt like needles stabbing me. My face burned like fire. I wished I could crawl into a crack in the floor. My palms were sweaty, and I couldn't even feel the pain of my nails digging into my flesh. Finally, the teacher couldn't watch anymore and frowned. "Fang Yuan, go to the 3rd group." The faces of the members of that group changed instantly. Out of respect for the teacher, no one dared to object on the spot. Throughout the entire discussion, the group members ignored my existence. No one listened to my suggestions. "I think we could look at it from this angle." They continued discussing as if they hadn't heard me. No one used the materials I organized. This is the relevant literature I found. They didn't even look, just pushed it aside. I tried to participate, but every time I opened my mouth, I was interrupted. "We've already decided. We don't need your opinion, just stay there." Finally, I gave up completely and just sat there, quietly watching them discuss enthusiastically, as if I were invisible. No, worse than invisible. I was a loathsome parasite, an eyesore. Something even worse happened a week later. That morning, my roommates were looking at their phones mysteriously, glancing at me from time to time. "Fang Yuan, have you been on the forum?" one roommate suddenly asked, his tone full of gloating. I shook my head. "Then you'd better go take a look," he smiled strangely. "You're famous." My heart sank. I opened the school forum, and a pinned post caught my eye, exposing the true face of the management department's parasite. The post had over 10,000 views and more than 500 replies. With trembling fingers, I clicked on it. The post detailed how I clung to Shen Shiwi and shamelessly spent her money. Every detail was infinitely magnified. Every action was interpreted maliciously. According to an insider, Fang has been pestering student Shen since high school, mooching off her breakfast every morning. He always sits near student Shen during exams, with obvious intent. I heard his family is destitute, and he relies entirely on the Shen family to attend university. There were even pictures. The first was a photo of me and Shen Shiwi eating together. She had clearly invited me, but it was described as me mooching a meal. The second was a photo of Shen Shiwi bringing me breakfast. That was because my stomach hurt that day, and she was worried I'd get worse without breakfast. But the caption read, "The parasite is sucking blood again." The third was a photo of me working at a milk tea shop. The photo was taken at a tricky angle, exactly when I was bending over to wipe a table. Look at how pathetic he is, acting pitiful to get sympathy. Most ridiculous part was people analyzing my schemes. This kind of guy is the scariest. Honest and kind on the surface, but deeply calculating in reality. He's known how to suck up to someone since he was a kid. Not simple. Shen Shiwi is unlucky to be stuck with such a piece of gum. The comments were even more unbearable. "This kind of guy is disgusting, no self-respect at all. If I were him, I'd have committed suicide out of shame long ago. Shen Shiwi is so miserable being pestered by this parasite. I suggest the parasite get out of our school. The school should expel such a morally corrupt student." Every comment was like a knife, cutting my heart one stroke at a time. What was even more terrifying was that my personal information began to appear in the comments. Someone dug up my high school, someone posted my home address, someone even found a photo of my grandmother. So he's a wild kid with no father or mother. No wonder he's so shameless. Where's the upbringing? Poor Shen Shiwi, being stuck with this kind of person. I felt cold all over. Shivering, I called Shen Shiwi. The phone rang for a long time before connecting. Shen Shiwi, have you seen the post on the forum? My voice was shaking violently. I saw it. Her voice was calm to the point of being chilling. Then, aren't you going to say something? Say what? There was even a hint of impatience in her tone. Help me clarify. Tell everyone I didn't spend your money. We're just childhood friends. I was almost begging. Fang Yuan, she interrupted, her voice sounding tired. Do you think if I come out to clarify now, people will believe me? They'll just think I was forced by you. But the truth is the truth. The truth? She laughed, and the laughter was cold. The truth is you do follow me every day. You do often use my things. I can't control how others interpret that. I gripped the phone. So you mean you'll just let them humiliate me like this? It's not humiliation. It's just a post, she said dismissively, as if it were truly a small thing. It'll pass after a while. Why take online stuff so seriously? Besides, me stepping in now will only make things more complicated. You should lie low for a while. Beep, beep, beep. She hung up. I stared blankly at the phone screen as it dimmed, reflecting my pale face. It turned out that in her heart, my reputation and my dignity weren't worth a single word. It turned out that so-called childhood friendship was this cheap. I finally understood the phrase, the heart is like dead ashes. It's not heartache, it's not a broken heart. It's the entire heart dying, turning to ash and scattering with the wind. The bullying in reality escalated. Malicious notes began appearing on my desk. Parasite, get out, written in messy but hateful handwriting. Shameless person, written in red pen, looking like blood. Stay away from Shen Shiwi. This note even had a drawing of a disgusting bug. At first, I would tear them up and throw them in the trash. Later, there were so many I couldn't keep up. One in the morning, one at noon, another in the afternoon, as if someone was specifically watching my seat. Ink was poured over my books. Those were my favorite textbooks, filled with my notes. The ink soaked through the paper, blurring all the words. Notes I had spent an entire semester making were ruined just like that. My homework was torn up. That assignment was worth 20% of the final grade. I had stayed up for 3 nights to finish it. When it was time to hand it in, I found only the cover of the notebook remained. The contents had been torn out. The teacher frowned and asked, Feng Yuan, where's your homework? I did it, but what? I couldn't say it. Who would believe that someone tore up my homework? In the end, I had to accept a score of 0. Even more terrifying was the cold violence. No one wanted to talk to me. Walking on the road, classmates who knew me would take a detour as if I had some infectious disease. No one wanted to sit next to me. In every class, the seat beside me was always empty. Sometimes someone would sit down, but upon seeing it was me, they'd immediately change seats. Sorry, my friend is saving this seat for me. The lies became half-hearted. In the cafeteria, if I sat down, the people next to me would leave with their trays, moving so fast as if they'd be infected if they were a second slower. Once, everyone at the table left, leaving me alone at a huge dining table. People around were whispering and pointing. I lowered my head and mechanically stuffed food into my mouth. My stomach hurt, the food tasted like wax, and tears fell into my rice. It was salty. I started skipping classes. Instead of enduring those malicious gazes in the classroom, it was better to hide. But hiding in the dorm wasn't safe either. My roommates' exclusion became more blatant. They would say in front of me, "How unlucky to live in a dorm with this kind of person. Tell me about it. It's embarrassing." They would use my shampoo without a second thought. "Anyway, your things were bought by Shen Shiwi. What's the harm in using them?" I said no, that I bought them myself, and they mocked me. "What are you acting for?" This parasite is quite an actor. The worst time was when they threw my quilt into the hallway. That day, I came back from class to find my bed empty. The quilt, pillow, and sheets were all gone. I found them in the hallway with several footprints on the quilt. "A parasite should sleep outside," the lead boy said with a cold laugh. Others chimed in, "Yeah, don't get our dorm dirty. Why don't you move out? Don't you have Shen Shiwi anyway?" I stood in the hallway holding my quilt while people passing by watched me. There was some sympathy, but mostly it was people watching a show. No one helped me. No one said a word for me. That night, I crouched in the hallway and cried for a long time until my throat was hoarse and my eyes were swollen. I wanted to call Shen Shiwi, my finger hovering over the contact for a long time, but eventually, I didn't press it. What would be the point of calling? She would just say, "Isn't it just a joke?" She would just say, "You're overthinking it." She would just say, "It'll pass after a while." But how long is a while? A month? 2 months? Or a lifetime? That night, I had insomnia. Lying on my newly made bed, I stared at the ceiling in a daze. My mind kept replaying the past 18 years like an old movie, frame by frame. Shen Shiwi and I were true childhood friends. Our families lived in the same compound, separated only by a low wall. When I was little, I often climbed over the wall to play at her house. Once I scraped my knee and blood was everywhere. She cried, her eyes full of pain for me. I remember when I was 6, the news of my parents' car accident came. I was still in kindergarten. The teacher led me to the office with red eyes, not knowing how to explain death to a 6-year-old. It was Shen Shiwi who rushed in first and tightly hugged the shivering me. "Ayuan, don't be afraid, I'll protect you." She was only 6 then too, not much taller than me, but that hug warmed my entire childhood. Later, I lived with my elderly grandmother. Shen's mother felt sorry for me and always invited me to eat at their house. "Xiao Yuan is like my own son," she always said. At the table, she would constantly add food to my plate. "Eat more, look how thin you are." Shen Shiwi also took great care of me. On the way to school, she would hold my hand. Her palm was always warm, while mine was always ice cold. "Ah, Yuan, why are your hands always so cold?" "I don't know." "Then I'll hold them a bit longer to warm them up." On rainy days, she would hold the umbrella over my side. Every time we got to school, her right shoulder was wet. I said, "You're all wet," and she didn't care. For Ayuan, what's a little rain? But the next day, she caught a cold and got scolded by Shen's mother. In middle school, some girls said I was a wild kid with no parents. Shen Shiwi didn't say a word and just rushed up to fight them. She fought like her life depended on it. In the end, both were bruised and swollen. The dean called the parents. Shen's mother paid the medical bills and had to write a self-criticism. I asked her guiltily, "Why did you fight?" She said matter-of-factly, "He was talking nonsense about you, of course I had to fight him." Quote, "But you got hurt too." "So what?" She patted my head. "Fang Yuan is under my protection. No one is allowed to bully him." Back then, she was my hero, the person I trusted most in the world. In my senior year of high school, my grandmother passed away. She went very suddenly. She was fine in the morning and gone by noon. I stayed in the funeral hall alone, crying my heart out. The last blood relative in this world had left me. I really had become an orphan. Shen Shiwi stayed with me, not closing her eyes for 3 days and nights. She didn't know how to comfort people, so she just sat quietly by my side. She'd hand me water when I was thirsty, buy food when I was hungry, and let me lean on her shoulder for a nap when I was tired. "Don't be afraid, you still have me." In the deep of the night, she held my hand and said, "From now on, I am your family. You're not alone. With me here, no one can bully you." I nodded through tears, my face blurred by them. I believed her. I really believed her. I believed she would always be by my side, that she would stay with me forever, that we would go on like this always. So when Shen's mother said she wanted to sponsor my university education, I hesitated for a long time. "Auntie, I can apply for student loans and I can work. I don't want to owe too much." "Silly child. I watched you grow up. Helping you is only right." Shen's mother patted my head, her eyes full of love. "Besides, in the future, you and Xiao Wei—" She didn't finish, but the meaning was clear. Finally, under her persistence, I accepted a portion of the sponsorship, but I recorded it all in a notebook, vowing to pay it back. I thought we would go on like this forever. Shen Shiwi was my family, my favorite person, my whole world. Until Chin Sho appeared. Until the word Parasite appeared. Until I discovered that 18 years of emotion couldn't withstand a joke. Chin Sho was a very special guy. If I were to evaluate him objectively, he indeed had the qualities to make people take notice. He was handsome, a refined kind of handsome with a well-defined face and clean, three-dimensional features. When he spoke, it was as warm as sunshine. He was smart, his grades were always among the best, and his answers in class were always clear and logical, earning praise even from teachers. His family was wealthy. Everything he wore and used was a famous brand, but it didn't feel like he was showing off. Rather, it appropriately highlighted his taste. From the first time we met, he showed an interest in Shen Shiwi. It was the first day of freshman registration. He was dragging a black suitcase, standing downstairs at the dorm with a troubled look. "Classmate, could you help me carry my luggage?" His voice was deep and magnetic with a southern accent. Shen Shiwi happened to pass by and helped him carry the suitcase without a second thought. "Thank you," he smiled warmly. "You must be Shen Shiwi. I've heard so much about you." It turned out he had already done his research. Later, when choosing seats, he took the initiative to ask for a seat next to Shen Shiwi. "My eyesight isn't great, so I want to sit closer to the front. Is that okay?" The reason was sufficient. Shen Shiwi's seatmate did not refuse, and just like that, he became her seatmate. At first, Shen Shiwi was very cold toward him. After all, she is the kind of person who is relatively cold to those she isn't familiar with. But Chin Sho was very good at handling things. He would bring water when Shen Shiwi played ball, not ordinary mineral water, but lemon honey water he made himself, saying it was better for quenching thirst in hot weather. He would bring coffee when she stayed up late to review, saying, "I bought too much, have a cup to refresh yourself." Most importantly, he was never persistent or pushy like other boys. He maintained a perfect distance, caring but not excessive, attentive but not clingy, appearing close yet remaining distant, knowing when to advance and when to retreat. Gradually, Shen Shiwi's attitude toward him softened, moving from initial indifference to later chatting and laughing. They began to discuss schoolwork together. "I don't quite understand this problem. Can you teach me?" Even though his grades were clearly better than Shen Shiwi's. They started going to the library together. "It happens to be on the way. Let's walk together," even though it wasn't on the way at all. And I, seemingly, became redundant. Once, I went to find Shen Shiwi for lunch as usual. This was a habit we had formed since high school, unshakable. But that day, I saw her chatting and laughing with Chin Sho. I wondered what Chin Sho had said to make Shen Shiwi laugh so happily. That kind of smile hadn't appeared in front of me for a long time. "Shen Shiwi, let's go. It's time to line up at the cafeteria." I stood in front of them, trying to make my tone sound natural. Only then did Chin Sho look at me with surprise. That kind of surprise was too fake. So fake it was disgusting. "Oh, is Fang Yuan coming along too?" Since when did I become an also? Since when did something natural become an unexpected event? Shen Shiwi rubbed her head with some embarrassment. "Fang Yuan, why don't you go first? Chin Sho and I still have something to discuss." "What is it?" I asked subconsciously. "Just that problem from earlier." Chin Sho smiled faintly. "I still don't quite understand and wanted to ask Shen Shiwi. But if you understand it too, Fang Yuan, we can discuss it together." He clearly knew I wasn't in their major. This kind of invitation was more humiliating than a rejection. "Oh, okay." I turned stiffly, my steps a bit unsteady. Behind me came Chin Sho's delighted laughter. "Shen Shiwi, you're really amazing. I understood as soon as you explained it." "Not at all. It's because you were already smart." At that moment, I suddenly had a bad premonition. A premonition that gathered in my heart like dark clouds. The premonition soon came true. The nickname, the Parasite, came from Chin Sho's mouth. I remember that day clearly. It was a Thursday evening. I went to Shen Shiwi's dormitory to find her, wanting to ask if she wanted to go to the library over the weekend. While waiting downstairs, I heard Chin Sho chatting with several boys. They were standing under the bike shed, their shadows lengthened by the setting sun. The scene was beautiful if one ignored the content of their conversation. "That Fang Yuan?" Sigh, he's actually quite pitiful. Chin Sho's voice carried 3 parts pity and 7 parts superiority. "How so?" someone asked. "Don't you know? He has lived off Shen Shiwi's family since he was a child." Chin Sho sighed, a sigh full of hypocrisy. "His parents died early, and his grandmother passed away too. If it weren't for Shen Shiwi being soft-hearted." "Really? Then what about his tuition?" "Paid for by Shen Shiwi's family, of course." Chin Sho lowered his voice as if telling a secret. Shen Shiwi told me himself. My heart skipped a beat. Shen Shiwi told him? How could she tell him about my business? He said Fang Yuan is like a parasite that she can't shake off. Chin Sho continued, a hint of triumph in his voice. But she's soft-hearted and can't bear to drive him away. After all, she's raised him for so many years. There are feelings there, just like raising a little dog. I felt as if I had been struck by lightning. My legs went weak and I almost couldn't stand. I barely steadied myself by leaning against the wall. Shen Shiwi said that? She really said that about me? A parasite she can't shake off? A little dog being raised? Those classmates clicked their tongues in wonder. No wonder he follows Shen Shiwi every day. So that's how it is. The word parasite is really fitting. Chin Sho, you'd better be careful not to let him cling to you. Chin Sho laughed, the sound crisp and pleasant. Don't worry, I'm not Shen Shiwi. I won't spoil him. Besides, he wouldn't dare mess with me. After all, if I'm unhappy, Shen Shiwi will definitely stand on my side. The others chimed in. Of course, Shen Shiwi only has eyes for you now. Exactly. Who still cares about a parasite? I stumbled back and hit the wall. The wall was cold, but not as cold as my heart. So Shen Shiwi really saw me that way. 18 years of friendship were just a burden in her eyes. 18 years of companionship were just parasitism in her words. And I was just an unshakable parasite, a little dog receiving charity. I turned and ran, stumbling and pathetic. Tears blurred my vision. I couldn't see the road, but I couldn't stop. If I stopped, I was afraid I would collapse. If I stopped, I was afraid I would go and confront her. If I stopped, I was afraid of hearing an even more cruel truth. I didn't go up to find Shen Shiwi. Instead, I ran back to my dorm and cried all night under my covers. The pillow got wet and dried, then wet again. My throat went hoarse from crying, and my eyes were swollen, but my heart became clearer and clearer. So this was the kind of existence I was in Shen Shiwi's heart. It turned out my self-respect, my efforts, and my feelings were worthless in her eyes. It turned out I really was just a parasite. The next day, the nickname The Parasite spread through the whole department. First the management department, then the whole college, and finally the whole school knew. Everywhere I went, people pointed and stared. Look, that's the parasite. So shameless, won't let go of the girl. I heard it's been like this since they were kids. Tisk, tisk. I tried to find Shen Shiwi to confront her, to ask if she really said those words, why she wanted to hurt me like this, and what these years of friendship actually meant. But every time the words reached my lips, I swallowed them back. What if she admitted it? How would I face that reality? If she denied it, should I believe her? After all, Chin Sho said it so certainly, and Shen Shiwi's attitude toward him was indeed unusual. Most terrifyingly, I found I no longer dared to trust her. The girl who once stood up for me was now the person who hurt me the deepest. The one who said she would accompany me for a lifetime was now pushing me into the abyss with her own hands. Trust is the kind of thing that, once broken, cannot be put back together no matter how you try. The cyberbullying continued to escalate. Someone created a group specifically to denounce me, titled, Make the Parasite Get Out of S University. Every day, people posted photos of me with malicious captions. Today's parasite sightings, sucking blood in the cafeteria. The parasite is looking for its host again. Shameless. I suggest the school expel this scum. Some people even followed me and secretly filmed my every move. When I went to work, it was called acting for Shen Shiwi to see. Why pretend to be poor? He just wants to gain sympathy. Great acting, pity he isn't a professional actor. My frugal living was called playing the victim to gain sympathy. Purposely wearing ragged clothes, so calculating. This kind of guy is the most disgusting. Clearly sucking blood while pretending to be noble. My hard work in studying was called trying to use grades to tie down Shen Shiwi. What's the use of good grades when your character is this bad? He probably wants to go to the same grad school as Shen Shiwi, right? No matter what I did, it was wrong, because in their eyes, the parasite's existence itself was a mistake. I didn't deserve to live, I didn't deserve to breathe, I didn't deserve to be in this world. The last straw that broke me was that rainy night. On the eve of midterm exams, I stayed late in the library to review. During that time, I practically lived in the library, not because I loved studying so much, but because I didn't want to go back to the dorm, didn't want to face the cold mockery of my roommates, and didn't want to see their contemptuous eyes. When I came out, it was past 10 p.m., and it had started raining heavily. The rain was massive, and puddles quickly formed on the ground. I stood at the library entrance hesitating. I hadn't brought an umbrella. The forecast said it would be sunny. Who knew it would suddenly rain? Just as I was debating whether to run back to the dorm in the rain, I saw a familiar figure. Shen Shiwi was walking over with an umbrella. My heart felt a warmth. Was she here to pick me up this late? Did she know I didn't have an umbrella and came specifically for me? Shen Shiwi. I had just started to speak, my voice carrying a hint of anticipation. Why haven't you left yet? She frowned, her tone full of impatience. Where is Chin Sho? Have you seen him? It turned out she was there to find Chin Sho. My heart instantly went cold. I didn't see him. My voice was very soft, almost inaudible. Strange, he said he was at the library. She took out her phone to call, her fingers sliding quickly across the screen. At that moment, Chin Sho came out of another door, wearing stylish, casual clothes, looking a bit disheveled from the rain. Quote, Shen Shiwi! He ran over in surprise, his face full of smiles. You came to pick me up? Didn't we agree? Shen Shiwi naturally moved the umbrella over to Chin Sho's side, a practiced movement as if she had done it countless times. Only then did Chin Sho notice me. What great acting, he had clearly seen me long ago. Fang Yuan is here too? You didn't bring an umbrella? His voice carried 3 parts surprise and 7 parts triumph. I shook my head, not wanting to speak. He feigned a helpless smile. That's unfortunate. Our umbrella is too small. It can't fit 3 people. After a pause, he added, Why don't you wait here and see if you find someone you know? Shen Shiwi glanced at me. That glance was complicated. There was hesitation and guilt, but mostly impatience. She seemed to want to say something. Her lips moved. I waited. I waited for her to say, I'll walk you back. Waited for her to say, you use the umbrella first. Waited for her to say even one word of concern. But in the end, she said nothing. She just walked away under the umbrella with Chin Sho. Chin Sho looked back at me once, the triumph in his eyes unmasked. He had won, completely and utterly. I stood at the library entrance, watching their intimate silhouettes under the umbrella. Shen Shiwi was very careful, tilting the umbrella toward Chin Sho, just as she used to do for me. The rain got heavier, the droplets hurting as they hit my body, but it was nothing compared to my heartache. 12 years ago, she held the umbrella for me. 12 years later, she walked away with someone else. I became the parasite in the rain. The funny thing was, I was still waiting for her to turn back, waiting for her to remember me, waiting for her to realize I was still standing in the rain. But she didn't. She walked away without looking back, as if I had never existed. I ran back to the dorm in the rain, soaked through and shivering with cold. When I pushed open the dorm door, my roommates were chatting. Seeing my pathetic state, they froze for a moment, then burst into piercing laughter. Oh look, the drowned rat is back! Serves you right. Who told you to cling to Shen Shiwi? Exactly. The girl has someone new and you still won't give up. I ignored them and went straight to my locker to get a towel. Opening the locker, I found it empty. My towel, clothes, and toiletries were all gone. You guys? I turned around, my voice raspy from a cold. Oh, your things? The lead roommate said nonchalantly. We helped you throw them away. By what right? By what right? He sneered. By the right that this is our dorm and Parasite's things are not welcome. Go find them in the trash can yourself. I rushed out of the dorm and searched through the trash cans in the hallway. My towel had been cut to pieces, ink had been poured over my clothes, and the shampoo had been emptied out. I crouched by the trash can, shaking all over, not knowing if it was from the cold or the anger. I developed a high fever that night. I lay in bed, delirious with the fever. My roommates not only didn't care but gloated. Serves him right. Who told him to stand in the rain? What is she pretending to be pitiful for? Thinking Shen Shiwi will come see him? Dream on. She's busy accompanying Chin Sho. I was burning up. My consciousness blurred. I wanted to go to the hospital, but I couldn't get up alone. I wanted to drink water, but the nightstand was empty. I wanted to call Shen Shiwi, My hand tremblingly fumbled for the phone and found her number, but my finger hovered over it for a long time without pressing. Would she come? Would she care? Or would she just say, "It's just a cold"? Finally, I dialed. The phone rang for a long time, so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Hello? Her voice was impatient, the background noise loud, sounding like a restaurant. Shen Shiwi. My voice was severely raspy, and it was difficult to speak. "What's wrong with you?" she asked casually. "I have a fever." "Oh, then take some medicine and drink more hot water." Her tone was so dismissive it was chilling. In the background, Chin Sho's voice came. "Shen Shiwi, the food is here. Come and eat." "Coming," she responded, then said to me, "If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." Beep, beep, beep. She hung up. I gripped the phone, tears flowing uncontrollably. So I was sick, and she was eating with someone else. It turned out my life or death wasn't worth a single meal. It turned out no one truly cared about me. In the end, it was a senior from the next dorm who couldn't stand it. He heard the commotion and came in to take a look. "Heavens, your fever is so high." He helped me to the hospital without a second word. The doctor said my fever was 39.8 degrees Celsius, and any later might have damaged my brain. "Why did you only come now with such a high fever?" the doctor scolded while writing a prescription. "Where are your family and friends? Why are you alone?" The senior answered for me. His roommates didn't care about him. The doctor frowned. "How can college students today be so cold?" While getting an IV drip, I received a message from Shen Shiwi. "I heard you're sick. Are you okay?" "Heard? Heard from whom? Since you heard, why didn't you come see me?" "Right." She was with Chin Sho. I stared at those few words for a long time, and in the end, I didn't reply. What was there to reply to? Say I almost died? Say I'm in the hospital? Say I need you? Forget it. She wouldn't care. In her heart, I was just a parasite. Isn't it normal for a parasite to be sick? The next day, I dragged my weak body to class. It wasn't because I loved studying, but because this course had very strict attendance. As soon as I entered, the noisy classroom suddenly went quiet. Everyone looked at me, and then whispering started. "The parasite is here. I heard he faked being sick last night to get Shen Shiwi to see him, but Shen Shiwi ignored him completely. Hilarious, so shameless. Even like this, he won't give up." I walked expressionlessly to my seat. There was a new note on the table. "Go die, parasite." I swept the note into the trash. Chin Sho sat in the front row. He turned back with a look of concern. "Fang Yuan, you look so pale. Are you okay?" His voice was just loud enough for the whole class to hear. I looked up, facing him directly for the first time. "Thanks to you, I'm fine." My voice was raspy, but clear. He froze, then showed a hurt expression. "Fang Yuan, what do you mean by that? I'm caring about you. And you still." "Enough." I interrupted him, my voice cold. "Chin Sho, a person must have a bottom line." The class was in an uproar. The parasite actually dared to fight back. "Fang Yuan!" Shen Shiwi's voice suddenly rang out. She had just entered and heard my words. She walked over quickly, her expression very bad. "How can you talk to Chin Sho like that? He's kindly caring about you, and this is your attitude?" I looked at her and suddenly wanted to laugh. Sure enough, in her heart, Chin Sho was always right, and I was always wrong. "Yes, he's so kind," I said sarcastically. "So kind as to give me a nickname, so kind as to let the whole school know I'm a parasite." "That was?" Shen Shiwi wanted to explain, but the words wouldn't come because she knew it was the truth. "Shen Shiwi, how much longer are you going to pretend?" I stood up and looked directly into her eyes. "You told Chin Sho that I'm a parasite you can't shake off, right?" Her face changed. "I didn't." "You did," I interrupted. I heard it with my own ears. The classroom was silent. Shen Shiwi fell silent. She didn't deny it because she had indeed said it. "So this is what I am in your eyes," I laughed desolately. 18 years, Shen Shiwi. From age 6 to 24, a full 18 years. I thought we were family. It turns out I was just a burden you couldn't shake off. I took the notebook from my bag, filled with every expense. May 3rd, 2025, breakfast 12 yuan. May 15th, 2025, campus card, top up 50 yuan. I placed the notebook and an envelope with 20,000 yuan on the table. From today on, we are even. Shen Shiwi froze. She looked at the notebook and the envelope, her face turning paler and paler. Fang Yuan, what are you doing? Doing what I should do, I said calmly. Even a parasite has dignity. I turned to leave. Shen Shiwi grabbed me. Fang Yuan, don't be like this. Let's talk properly. Talk about what? I shook off her hand. Talk about how you called me a parasite behind my back? Or how you watched me be humiliated and did nothing? She opened her mouth but couldn't speak. At this moment, Chin Sho started slapping his own face. It's all my fault. Fang Yuan, you can hit me, just don't do this to Shen Shiwi. Chin Sho, you won. I looked at him. Shen Shiwi is yours. I hope one day you won't become the next parasite. I picked up my bag and strode out. Behind me came Shen Shiwi's voice. Fang Yuan, where are you going? I didn't look back. I was going to a place where she would never find me. The withdrawal was smooth. The counselor tried to stay me, but I was tired. I got the certificate that afternoon. I packed my single suitcase and tore down the freshman photo from the wall. As I dragged my suitcase downstairs, I bumped into Shen Shiwi. She was panting, having run over. Fang Yuan, are you really withdrawing? She blocked me, her eyes red. I won't let you go unless you explain. Explain what? Why you betrayed me? Seeing my firm attitude, the counselor sighed. Then what are your plans next? Work first, save enough money, then continue my studies. This was the truth. I didn't want to give up my education. I just needed a change of environment. Once I saved enough for tuition, I would go to another city and start over at another university. The procedures were fast, and I got my withdrawal certificate that afternoon. I went back to the dorm to pack. My roommates weren't there, probably in class. Just as well, it saved us from meeting again. I didn't have much. One suitcase fit everything. I took one last look at this place where I had lived for half a year. The photo we took together at the start of school was still on the wall. Back then, everyone laughed so happily. Who could have thought it would turn out like this after half a year? I tore down the photo and threw it in the trash. Let the past stay in the past. Dragging my suitcase downstairs, I bumped into Shen Shiwi. She was panting, clearly having run over. Fang Yuan, are you really withdrawing? She blocked me, her eyes red. Move! I won't. She stubbornly blocked the way. If you don't explain clearly, I won't let you go. Explain what clearly? I sneered. Explain clearly why you betrayed me? Or explain clearly why you allowed Chin Sho to hurt me? I didn't... She wanted to defend herself, but the words wouldn't come out because she had indeed done it. Shen Shiwi, you've changed. I looked at her, my heart no longer feeling any waves. The old, you would fight someone for me. The current, you pushed me into the abyss with your own hands. I didn't expect it to turn out like this. Her voice was very low, like a child who had done something wrong. You didn't expect it? I found it laughable. Then what did you expect? Did you expect Chin Sho would give me a nickname? Did you expect the whole school would curse me? Did you expect I would be forced to withdraw? Every question was like a knife stabbing into her heart. Her face grew paler and paler. I'm sorry. Too late. I pushed her aside. I don't need your sorry. Feng Yuan, she shouted behind me. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Don't go. I beg you, let's start over, okay? I stopped my steps but didn't turn back. Shen Shiwi? Some things are broken and can never go back, just like trust. Just like our 18 years. Goodbye. No, never see you again. When I left S City, the weather was very good, sunny and cloudless, as if celebrating my new life. I went to a small city in a neighboring province where no one knew me or my past. I found a job at a milk tea shop. The salary wasn't high, but enough to live on. The owner was a woman in her 40s, very kind. Xiaofeng, you're so young, why aren't you in school? She would ask caringly. Conditions at home aren't good, I want to work first. This wasn't a total lie. It's not easy, she sighed, but youth is your capital. There will be plenty of opportunities later. Yes, later. I lived in a small attic above the shop. The room was very small, only fitting a bed and a desk, but it was mine. Entirely my space. No one would stick malicious notes on my desk, no one would throw away my things, and no one would call me a parasite. Life was very simple. Wake up at 7 a.m. to wash up, go downstairs to open the shop, clean, prepare materials, and wait for customers. Close the shop at 9 p.m., do the accounts, clean up, then go upstairs to read for a while and sleep. The days were as plain as water, but I was very satisfied. This peace was what I wanted. My phone constantly had missed calls, all from Shen Shiwi, dozens a day, persistent. I didn't answer and didn't block her. I just let her think. Until one day she changed numbers and sent a text. "Fang Yuan, where are you? Please reply. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know I was wrong. Please come back. I can't be without you." I read everyone, but didn't reply to a single one. What was there to reply to? It was already over between us. The Fang Yuan, who trusted her more than himself, was already dead. Dead on that rainy night. Dead when she held the umbrella and left with someone else. Now I am a new me. A me who doesn't need anyone. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was 3 months. Business at the milk tea shop was good, and I gradually became more skilled, even developing a few new products that were very popular. The owner happily gave me a raise. "Xiaofang, you're really a treasure," she said with a smile. "If only my daughter was half as sensible as you." I smiled and continued mixing the milk tea. Life seemed to be on the right track. Until that day, an uninvited guest came to the shop. It was Shen Shiwi. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up. "Fang Yuan!" She rushed over, wanting to hug me. I took a step back to avoid her. "Miss, what would you like to order?" I asked in the tone used for customers. She froze, her gaze darkening. "Fang Yuan, it's me, Shen Shiwi." "I know," I said calmly. "What would you like to order?" She looked at me, her eyes turning red. "I've been looking for you for 3 months. I've been to all the nearby cities and asked every possible place. I thought you—" She didn't finish, but I knew what she wanted to say. She thought something had happened to me. "As you can see, I am fine. What would you like to order? There are other customers waiting behind you." I maintained a professional smile. She looked at me deeply and finally said, "A cup of milk tea. Anything will do." I turned to make the milk tea. My hand was very steady, without a hint of shaking. After it was finished, I handed it to her. 21! She pulled out her wallet, her hand shaking so violently that money scattered all over the floor. I didn't help her pick it up. I just stood there waiting. She awkwardly picked up the money and handed it to me. Tang Yuan, a nickname. "Can we talk?" "Sorry, I can't chat during work hours." "Then after work?" "After work, I need to rest," I interrupted her, handing over the change. "Please enjoy your drink." Then I turned to greet the next customer. She stood there for a long time. She didn't drink a single sip of the milk tea in her hand, just watching me like that. Her eyes as mournful as an abandoned large dog. But so what? When she abandoned me back then, did she ever think of my mourning? Shen Shiwi did not leave. She stayed at the hotel across the street. Every day she came to the shop to order a cup of milk tea, then sat for the entire day without speaking, just watching me. The owner noticed something was wrong. "Xiaofang, who is that girl to you?" "A former classmate." "Doesn't look like just a classmate," she said meaningfully. I didn't explain. Some things, even if explained, no one would understand. Shen Shiwi's presence did not affect my life. I still did what I was supposed to do, though occasionally I would hear her on the phone with others. "Mom, I found him. He won't talk to me. I won't give up." Another time, it seemed she was talking to Chin Sho. "Enough. I told you not to call me again." Her voice was very loud, startling the other guests. "What do you mean I'm crazy? I'm not crazy. I just want to find back the most important person to me." With a crack, she smashed her phone, then held her head, her shoulders shaking violently. Some customers whispered among themselves, "Does this person have mental problems? It looks quite scary. Boss, should we call the police?" I walked over and said calmly, "Miss, you are affecting the other guests." She looked up, her eyes already bloodshot. "Sorry." Her voice was so raspy it was unrecognizable. She picked up the broken phone and walked out unsteadily. That silhouette was so destitute it made one's heart ache, but I hardened my heart and continued working. After closing the shop at night, I saw she was still standing across the street. The streetlights stretched her shadow very long, like a lost child. I closed the electric door and went upstairs without looking back. Kindness given to the wrong person is cruelty to oneself. I already understood this truth. On the 7th day, it rained, a very heavy rain, much like the night I was abandoned by her. Shen Shiwi still came, soaked through like a drowned dog. "Miss, water cannot drip inside the shop." I handed her a towel in a businesslike tone. She took the towel, drying her hair with stiff movements. "Fang Yuan, today is your birthday." I froze for a moment, calculating the days it really was. I had been so busy these 3 months that I forgot. "Happy birthday!" She pulled a small box from her coat. It was a watch, very elegant. "I remember you always wanted this." "Yes, in senior year of high school I saw this watch at the mall, but it was too expensive and I couldn't bear to buy it. I just stood in front of the window for a long time." I didn't expect her to still remember. "Thank you, but I can't accept it." I pushed the box back. "Why?" Her voice was trembling. "This is a birthday gift. We are no longer friends. It's not appropriate to accept such an expensive gift from a stranger." The word stranger stabbed into her heart like a knife. Her face was as white as paper. "Feng Yuan, we have known each other for 18 years. 18 years! How did we become strangers?" "From the moment you said I was a parasite." I stated the fact calmly. She was struck as if by lightning, her body swaying, nearly unable to stand. "I didn't mean it that way." "It doesn't matter what you meant anymore," I interrupted her. "What matters is that you said it, and you allowed that word to hurt me. Even when I needed you most, you chose someone else." Every word was like a slow execution. Lingqi. Her tears finally fell. She cried in front of the full shop of customers. "Sorry, sorry." She kept repeating those 3 words, as if she didn't know what else to say besides apologizing. Quote, "Shen Shiwi, I have received your..." I handed her a tissue. "Now, please leave my life, just as I left yours back then. Be more thorough about it." She cried even harder. The customers were all watching, pointing at us. The owner walked over. "Xiaofang, do you want to call the police?" I shook my head. "No need, she's leaving now." Shen Shiwi stood up unsteadily. "Fang Yuan, I won't give up. Even if it takes a lifetime, I will make you forgive me." After saying that, she stumbled out into the rain without even holding an umbrella, just like I had done back then. Shen Shiwi got sick. She was hospitalized with a high fever. I found out from the owner. The people at the hotel across the street said the girl was so feverish, she was unconscious, constantly muttering a name. "Xiaofeng, is she calling for you?" I remained silent. "Do you want to go take a look?" she asked tentatively. "After all, you're old classmates." "No need." I continued wiping the glasses, but my hands were shaking slightly. The owner sighed. "Young people, what deep-seated hatred could there be? Don't wait until you regret it and it's too late." Regret? The person who should regret isn't me. But I still had insomnia that night. The silhouette of Shen Shiwi rushing into the rain kept appearing in my mind, looking so much like myself that night. The difference was that she brought it on herself, while I was forced into it. The next day, Mother Shen came. She had withered a lot. The moment she saw me, tears fell. "Xiao Yuan, Auntie finally found you." She wanted to hug me, but I stepped back to avoid her. "Auntie." I was polite, but distant. Her hand froze in midair, and her gaze dimmed. "Xiao Yuan, where have you been these past few months? Auntie looked so hard for you." Xiao Wei is like she's gone crazy too, torturing herself like this. I remained silent. She wiped her tears and continued. "Auntie knows Xiao Wei did wrong. She is sorry to you. But Xiao Yuan, for Auntie's sake, forgive her just this once, okay? She really knows she was wrong." I shook my head. "Auntie, some things, once they're past, they're past." "But you grew up together?" She became agitated. "How can such a good relationship be cut off just like that?" "She was the one who cut it first," I reminded her, "when she said I was a parasite, when she watched me be humiliated by the whole school and did nothing, when she left me with a fever for the sake of Chin Sho. It was already over between us." Mother Shen cried even harder. "Auntie knows. Auntie knows it all. Xiao Wei was truly wrong. But Xiao Yuan, she knows now how important you are to her. She can't be without you. That is her business. My heart was as hard as stone. Just as she felt Chin Sho was more important back then, choices are made by oneself, and the consequences should be borne by oneself. Mother Shen looked at me with a complicated gaze. There was heartache, helplessness, and a hint of realization. Xiao Yuan, you've changed. Yes, I admitted, frankly, I have changed. I have changed to the point where I no longer need anyone, including her. After Mother Shen left, I thought everything would return to tranquility, but I was wrong. After Shen Shiwi was discharged from the hospital, she did something that surprised everyone. She posted on the S University forum. The title was, "Regarding Feng Yuan, I owe him the truth." The post was very long. It detailed our story from childhood to adulthood. It described my background, my efforts, and my kindness. It described how she was deceived by Chin Sho and how she said those hurtful words. It described her stupidity, her regret, and her pain. Most importantly, she publicized the whole truth, including the fact that I never spent a penny of her money, my part-time work to pay her back, and that ledger. She even posted the transfer records and the IOUs I wrote. At the end of the post, she wrote, "Feng Yuan was never a parasite. He is the most independent, strongest, and kindest boy I have ever met. I was not worthy of his friendship. I destroyed the most precious relationship with my own hands. If I could start over, I would rather never have met Chin Sho. But there are no ifs. Feng Yuan, I am sorry. I don't ask for your forgiveness. I only hope you live well. And to those who hurt Feng Yuan, you just wait and see." The post caused a sensation. After the truth came out, public opinion reversed instantly. Those who once cursed me began to curse Chin Sho. Those who once pitied Chin Sho began to pity me. Chin Sho was cursed onto the trending searches, and all kinds of nasty words were used against him. I heard he couldn't take the pressure and withdrew from school too. But all of that had nothing to do with me anymore. The owner showed me her phone. "Shofang, is this you?" I glanced at it and nodded. "It's me." "Heavens, you went through so much." She looked at me with heartache. "This guy, Chin Sho, really isn't human. It's all in the past." I gave the phone back and continued working. Yes, it's all in the past. Justice that arrives too late is not justice, just as delayed justice is not justice. What I needed was never this. What I needed was for someone to stand by my side when I was at my most difficult, not to say sorry after everything was already over. Another month passed. I had saved enough money and was prepared to leave this city. I wanted to go somewhere further to start a new life. Maybe I would continue my studies, maybe not, but regardless, it would be my own choice. On my last day of work, Shen Shiwi came. She looked much better, at least no longer like a wandering ghost. "Are you leaving?" Her voice was very soft. I nodded. She was silent for a long time, then said, "I won't look for you anymore." I was a bit surprised. She had come every day for over a month, rain or shine. "I've realized it." She gave a bitter smile. "What is obtained through begging is not sincere. I have already hurt you once. I cannot hurt you a second time." She took an envelope out of her bag. "This is about the things after you withdrew. The school has retracted all the slanderous statements against you. Those who led the bullying against you have been disciplined. Chin Sho was expelled. And this is compensation for mental distress." I didn't look. I don't need any of those anymore. "I know." She placed the envelope on the counter. "But this is what you deserve." It's not charity. It's not pity. It's justice. Justice that is late. I looked at her. For the first time, I didn't immediately refuse. "Feng Yuan?" She looked at me deeply. "Thank you for these years. Thank you for being by my side. Thank you for tolerating everything about me. Thank you for treating me as family. I'm sorry. I failed you. I'm sorry I came too late. I'm sorry I wasn't worthy of being your childhood friend." She paused, her eyes turning red. "Walk your future path well. When you meet someone you like, love them bravely. Don't stop believing that others are worth the best just because of me." After saying that, she turned and left. "Shen Shiwi." I called out to her. She stopped but did not turn back. "Take care." I only said those two words. Her shoulders trembled, and then she left resolutely. This time, it was truly goodbye.